Hello, everyone. My name is Reza, and I'm one of the film programmers for this year's Real World Film Festival. I'm so glad to be here with the filmmaker of Echoes, Andrew Siak. Thank you so much, Andrew, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Reza. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. So Echoes is your feature debut, and your background is mainly in music and theater. So what motivated you to make and produce a film?
That's a bit of a long story. I'll try to keep it short. Basically, I did a stage production of the show, and after that run was done, I had to ask myself the question of what I wanted to do next. Did I want to try and put it up in another theater, have another production company do it? And ultimately, I wanted something that would last forever and not something that would just run for a few weeks or a few months. Ideally, obviously, you want a blockbuster hit musical that runs forever, but I had to think about where I wanted to invest my time. So I thought about making a film, and I'd never made a film before. So I did a test scene, a test song, and I just wanted to see, would it translate, would it not translate into film, and what would it look like, and did I have the skills and the vision to be able to see this through. And the test song turned out fantastic, and I said, all right, let's just do it. I just need to do this like 20 more times and then we're good.
Great, amazing. And when you see actually, I mean, your stage production and also this film, which one would you think, I mean, is more successful? I know that both of them are actually different in different mediums, but which one would you prefer if you are going to make another one?
I mean, the great thing about film is that it can be seen by such a wide audience, especially online. It could be seen around the world. People, not even just around the world. I have friends in Montreal, for example, who can't come to Toronto to see a stage production of it. So there's great benefit to that. But there is nothing like live theater. So if I had to choose, I'd probably say film, just because of the wide audience reach. But that's a tough decision to make.
So your film covers three wars without even shooting one bullet. And yeah, and it's great. And what I really love about your film is that your film is more like an appreciation of life and love rather than a war movie.
Mhm.
And different races and ethnicities are represented in your film, looking for hope, looking for peace and freedom. So could you please tell us more about the process of writing your story for the film?
Well, it's interesting. The process was it was a lot of trial and error, because when you have a musical, a stage musical that you've written, you think it's complete and all you have to do is film it. And in my opinion, that's not true. It is creating a completely new entity. So when you're creating that new entity, you have to alter things and rewrite things and change things. So there are a lot of things that were changed and rewritten for the film that were not in the stage show. One simple example is in the stage show, there are two generals. They're slave owners in the Civil War story, and the same characters play generals in World War One, and then they play politicians in World War Two. And they're the comedic relief in the show, and they sing some funny songs and the audience laughs and they're very fun, and it works very well on stage. But if I put that in the musical, in this film, as you saw it, it would take away from the seriousness of the movie. It would kind of like be like having people singing and tap dancing in the middle of Schindler's List. It wouldn't fit. So there was a lot of that kind of evaluation and reevaluation of what works and what doesn't work and what will work or could not work, and rethinking the entire process.
And how long did it take to shoot the movie, the entire movie?
It was a very flexible and open shoot schedule, so it wasn't as though we had 2 weeks, so we just did it. I would say the whole thing probably took 3 or 4 months. But sometimes we only shot one day in a month. The other great thing about that was, again, with musicals, you don't always know what's going to work and what's not going to work, what's going to translate well, what's going to have that impact. So there were many times where I would say maybe a third of the film was reshot, maybe even half. Because we just it was fine. What we shot was good, and it was nice to look at, and it sounded good and looked good, but we just, in context, it just didn't hit the nail on the head. So we went back and we reshot a ton. So having that flexible shoot schedule for that many months was actually great.
Amazing. And speaking of that, actually, let's talk about the funding and producing this film. It seems that it's self-funded by yourself. And what would be the challenges for a musical film like this, actually, to absorb funding from funding bodies?
Well, I mean, the good thing about this being my first film was that I had no idea how much work was involved. So I had no idea how many people are typically on movie sets and how many people work on movie sets. I just did everything. So it was a blessing and a curse in that I was just ignorant, blissfully ignorant to all of this. And I went in with my eyes wide open and I said, all right, let's just do this. And so in that, I didn't have to pay anyone. I didn't have to pay any cinematographers, any gaffers, any production assistants, anything like that. But it was also probably, it was the hardest project I've ever worked on in my life. And then 2 months after that, I went in and started my second film, and I don't know why I did that. It's definitely filled with challenges, and when it's your own money too, it's easy to spend more. When it's someone else's money and you have a set budget, you work within that budget. But when it's your own money and it's your own project that you care about, you just reach deeper into your pocket, and you're like, okay, well, it's only going to cost another $1,000 to get this location instead of this one. Fine, I'll do it.
Great, thank you. And let's talk a little bit about casting. I can imagine that your options were so limited. So what have been your resources, your main resources for choosing your performers? Are these actually the same cast that you had for your stage production, or did you make some changes to your casting?
Some were from the stage production and some were not. At the time, it was a non-union shoot. So anyone who was union could not be a part of it. And then there were some changes I made in the actual story. So for example, in the stage show, there's a story of the two slaves in the American Civil War and their story. And in the World War II story, which chronologically is the third story, there was a daughter, and in the stage show, that daughter was played by was a Black actor, because I wanted to tie in the theme of echoes from the slavery all the way through to all time. But that tie-in would not have worked in film because you would never see them on stage at the same time. So there were things like that came into play. So then I had to change that character to an Asian character. So there were a lot of, and people don't always understand this, that casting is so much more than just who's right for the part, who's not right for the part. There are so many other factors involved in it. And then I got rid of a lot of characters, and I shuffled around a couple of people. So yeah, it was definitely challenging, but I had such a great cast, and they're all phenomenal actors and singers. So I'm super, super happy and fortunate.
I'm so happy too. And one of the challenges that I can imagine you faced is actually, I mean, in compared with the stage production, is sound recording. So was it recorded on set, or it was actually recorded in a studio?
It was recorded in the studio. It's actually recorded in this studio. That booth right there is
Wow.
where they recorded, and I'm a record producer, so that part was very in my wheelhouse to be able to do. And it was just the easiest way. Then again, we didn't have to hire a sound person. We didn't have to worry about having extra equipment, extra crew, dealing with the background noise and all that. So it was all done in the studio. In fact, there was no location sound at all. Everything is Foley or pre-recorded vocal.
Amazing. So the title of your film is very, very lovely, and there is a metaphor here. Echoes can link to the musical aspect of your film, but for me, actually, it can address the anti-war message that your film is sending out about the nonsense cycle of wars that we have been stuck in for centuries. So, as an artist, do you see an ending point to all these ongoing wars that we are facing right now?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I think with any light comes darkness. So there cannot just be one. And that's in the end of the show, the father sings to the daughter, I've seen darkness burn down kingdoms of might, but I've also seen love burn darkness with light. That's a really important line for me, because I think that is the reality that we live in, is that there will always be that darkness and there'll always be that light. But we hope that love of all things and love of humanity and people and love in general will conquer all, if you will.
Great. And are you working on another project, another musical film right now?
Yeah, I have, at the beginning of COVID, I thought that COVID was only going to last about 3 months or something like that. So I started writing a lot, hoping that I would have a good chunk of material for when COVID was over in a few months. But that didn't happen. But I have a lot of things right now that I'm working on. I wrote a musical about modern dating. I've got a screenplay right now I'm working on about dating, multicultural dating. I've got a musical about the history of Canada and the Chinese involvement in the Canadian Pacific Railway building. I've got a lot of things in the pipe right now and not enough time to do them all.
And are all of this musical, or
yeah,
you are going to...
all of them except the multicultural dating one are musicals. Yeah, that's pretty much where I want to be. But going back to your original question about translating a stage show to a film, it also kind of goes backwards too. The multicultural dating movie, I came up with the idea and I wrote the treatment, and I looked at it and I went, this is not a musical. It just will not work as a musical. So I'm keeping it as a straight romantic comedy.
Perfect. Amazing. So it was a very, very great conversation. So is there anything else that I didn't ask today, or any thank you to your crew and team that you would like to say now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love to thank my entire cast and production team. In general, there's no money in filmmaking like this, independent filmmaking. So everyone did it because they wanted to do it and for the love of it. And, these actors, they drove out with me to, 4 hours away from Toronto to shoot in somewhere in Ontario. And they did it like 3 times. And it just because they wanted to do it. And, that's so inspiring and really fuels me and my passion for all of this as well. So thank you to all of those people.
Amazing, great. And thank you so much again for sharing your beautiful film with us. And I really hope everyone enjoyed this conversation and the film itself, as I did. And please make sure to visit our website, realworld.ca, for more information regarding our screenings during the festival, as well as the year-round programs. And if you identify yourself as Black, Indigenous, and people of color artists, please make sure to consider joining our Access Real World database. Thank you so much and take care.